Okay. So from this lines that I have here, which is flat right now, I'm going to create a volume. Like I'm going to create something that looks like this or like that. And it's simply light and shadow. Okay. And of course, you know, I start looking at it in a different way. No. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this.
Oh.
See now how it's
Already made a difference.
changed, right?
Mm.
It changed. Same with this. You could just kind of connect this here, or you could just do this. Here, do that. You could keep going. You can keep going there. That's already, and then the same here. And then you take it in. So those lines are done. It gives me, it's giving me a shape now at this point. This shape has a certain, like a thickness here, right there, usually, if I want. I don't have to, but if I want, I can do this. I can change a bit as well. I can just make it, you know, kind of wider at one point and narrower, and then it gets narrower. So that's, again, see, it was here, the line was here, I brought the line down, so the transition, the curve is smooth. Okay, so now let's take burnt umber and white. And this is where light and shadow is going to come in handy to create the shape. This is in, this part right here is in. You can start from any part you like now. This is the darkest area right here. Then I'm going to take white and start highlighting. And go lighter. It's starting to get lighter and lighter. And then now it curves in, so it's going to go darker. A little bit darker. Now at that one point, what I do is I wait for it to dry and then I highlight a little bit more or darken whatever I want. Now, this is in, very kind of deep in. This comes out. So this part, little part right there is light. Again, light. Now, this starts to go down, so it starts to get darker. Not as dark as the one next to it, but slightly darker. And sometimes what I do is I wait for it to dry not all, sometimes, always. I wait for it to dry. I adjust my colors. And you see in a minute, I will be adjusting this, making it even darker. Now, I'll show you. I'm going to take brown again, and I'm going to go in here. Mix it with white and highlight. And you'll see in a minute, this is just the beginning. I will be highlighting and darkening more, but I'm waiting for it to dry so I can see the white more. See, this needs to be lighter, and I can't do it right now unless it's really dry. It will dry in a minute. I'll do it again. And the more I work on the highlights and the darks, the more I see the shape forming, and it looks really, really beautiful. Now, how do I come up with these? I simply look at references, and I change the reference the way I want. I simplify it. I make it light, less busy, more. Sometimes I make them. I add to the same reference I'm using. I add something different. It's just because I research these things, you know, I look at them and see, do I like this? How can I change it? It's too busy. I don't want to do the same thing. I want to do it in a different way. So it's just a matter of being a little bit patient and researching, you know, do some research. It's dark against light, light against dark. That's what makes it, creates a shape. And it's not, it's different kind of values. I adjust the values all the time when I'm working on these. Right, now, this one, dark. Against medium tone. Against this, dark. Now, I'm going to start highlighting slowly. This is wider, bigger, more exposed to the light. It's going to take more light. I try not to bring the darks next to the dark, this one. Try to keep it away from it, because otherwise it'll be right next to each other. It doesn't make sense. They will blend. Now, the other thing is, when I'm working on something like this is wide here. Look at this one here. It's wide. Then it becomes narrow. Then it's wide again. So it's not the same thickness. It's not the same thickness from here to here. It gives it more elegance. It looks more elegant when you do it that way. Okay, I'm gonna go really light now. See now, because I highlighted this, I'm highlighting it quite a bit. I can see this more, the one next to it. We should do, it's a really good exercise in value scale. We should do that together. Now, this is dry now. I can go back, darken this. And here. Now, let's take a bit of white and slowly blend these two. Take white, more white. Highlight this. So when I highlight it with more white, I'm going to take a little bit more white. When I highlight it with white, I bring it forward. Same here. Highlight it with white. I bring it forward. I'm going to put a bit of a line in here because technically this part is casting a shadow over this one here. So it will have a tiny bit of shadow in here. What we'll do is we'll get a real one. This is just like a sketch, but I'll find one that's real, like a real stone, and we will work on that. We tried to do this before with the fish. Remember the fish?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, we did that, but it was more like a, I would say, flat. It wasn't. It was the design was flat. It wasn't a design that's like this.
I liked my fish. Turned out really
Nice
good.
fish. Yes, it was nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go darker now down here, but not very dark. Down here. And try to mix. Blend. Try to blend this. Okay. It's just, honestly, it's only shadows and lights. That's it. The whole thing. I'm just playing with my values. When you see a real one, you will see the. I'll switch now I'll switch my my screen so you can see. I'll share my screen and you can see what I mean. I have a couple of samples from Spain.
That would be this would be a very interesting project to do, just learning how to do that. I mean, I'm lost already, but just from the, each step, but just to practice that a couple times on a sketchbook would be a great idea.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. That's really kind of an easy thing. We can do it, no problem.
Are you doing it on canvas or are you doing it on a?
I'm doing it on a piece of canvas, small one.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay. We're switching from the swirl that we did before to the door and the project we're working on. And we have here, can you see what I'm, yes, you can see what
Yes.
I'm mixing. Okay, so I have here paint gray, a bit of phthalo blue, and white. So we're going to do the lantern today. Let's take Payne's gray. This Payne's gray is golden, so it's already has quite a bit of blue in it. Phthalo is really strong, so you don't want to put too much of it. We're going to be highlighting this. Let's do it simple. A line, like a little dot right here. Then we're going to do one across. And I'm going to do the top part, and then I'm going to stop. So you can do the same. Like one across, another one smaller. Across, but smaller. This is wider, wide, small. Then I'm going to put the top of the lantern, this part. It could be, I'm making it a little bit round top. Now I'm going to take one line and put it here. Remember, this is really small, like it's far, it's not close. So we don't really have to be too, we don't have to put too much detail. Shouldn't have any, I shouldn't have too much of this line I'm putting here. It shouldn't be too long. So if it's too long, enlarge this half circle on top. Enlarge it. Make it wider. I'm going to pause so we can do this. Okay, now the bottom part. We're going to do a, let's say, a semi-oval. So I'll explain. The side in this here and this here are supposed to be thin. Now, I know on mine, it looks a bit, and it's hard to control. It's not easy. I know that. But when I start putting glass, this is where the glass is going to be. I will expand the glass out and make this line and this line thinner. Or if this is fine, I'll keep it just the way it is. But if the other one is too thick, then I will make it thinner. Go down at the bottom, go across this way. Let's go across. Another one that's smaller, shorter at the bottom. So the one that is connected to this is wider, or it goes from here to here. The one underneath is shorter. And then let's put a little dot or, you know, an oval, or, you know, just kind of to finish it off like we did here, but a little bit wider, not too wide, but a little bit wider. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clean up around it so you can see.
Okay, so could you talk to me a little bit about that, the bottom again? So you come down around the glass.
All right.
And it looks like it's rounded. You said to put a line that's longer than the bottom?
Here,
Or
show
just
you.
one that connects the bottom?
Let me show you. Let's show you here. It's easier to show you than to explain. So I did this.
right?
Kind of. Okay, that's the part that I did, right?
Yeah.
And now I want to finish it off at the bottom. Never use your brush for something like that. Use a pen. Anyway, here. So I have the first one that goes across this way.
Oh. Okay.
First one. Second one. Smaller, shorter. You know, you don't want to do both the same length. One is long here, the other one is short. You could, this is way too tiny on ours that we're working on. So I usually maybe put another one and then finish it off with something like that. Or right now in this case, what we're working on right now, I got rid of this little one here because it's too small. So I put that round ball that I'm using, I attached it up here. So let's see it. Let's do it this way. That's what I did. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Let's clean up around it so you can see it better. Because right now it really looks messy. It's hard to see what's happening. Let's do that. I don't remember what I used colors in here, but that's okay. It's really dark in there, so you really don't have to be, we don't have to be accurate. Just a suggestion is fine. More than enough. Right now, so I'm taking Payne's Gray, and it depends on the make you're using. So I'm using golden. Payne's Gray with golden is a bit more bluer than Liquitex. So if you find that the liquid Payne's Gray that you're using is more on the gray side or kind of blackish, use a bit of phthalo blue in it. But if you're using golden, I don't think you need to use phthalo blue, because once you add white to phthalo blue, turquoise, real turquoise. So we don't want it to be too light because this is underneath shadowy area, in a shadowy area. So I'm using a little bit of white in my Payne's Gray, and I'm going to highlight a little bit slowly. Wipe my brush, put the color here, wipe my brush, spread the color slowly down. So even if it's this is underneath in a shadow area, it doesn't matter. You'll still see the shape. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the white, and I'm going to go across. So, you know, just a little bit here and touch down. Let's put some water here in my brush. down. Over here. This. Not all the way up. Down from here, down. From here, down. Keep this part dark. I take a little bit more white, put it in my Payne's gray. And spread that, but not in a line. So start from top and then spread it and let it go. Don't create a line at the bottom. Suggestion of a highlight here. Highlight a little bit. Highlight. Highlight. Again. A little bit here. Touch there. Touch there. Down here. Touch it up at the same. Touch. Touch. You want to still see some of the darks in between, otherwise they connect. Some parts of this lantern is so much in these parts, small in, that you don't have to highlight. You really don't have to highlight. So when you highlight the bottom part, you know, where's that little thing I was using? You know, when you're highlighting this lantern, this part here, this is where the light is going to be, down there. Not all the way. The light is going to be here. Light's going to be here. Because this part is casting a shadow over this part. Oh. So it's at the bottom, bottom, bottom. But this is big. What we're working on is small. So whatever you get there is fine. Now I'm going to take a tiny bit of more white in my blue or in my Payne's gray, and I'm going to put a little bit of again, if we're working on a bigger size, we will see the dabs of sun on the lantern itself, but it's so small, there's no need to add those dabs. Okay, for the glass part, I'm going to use the same colors, Payne's gray and white, and make it a light color. But before I make it a light color, I'm going to do a mid-tone color. So it's in between, like this one here right now, there. I'll show you in a minute because it's going to dry darker. And we're going to geez, that's okay. Perfect. I'm going to take more white, put it in my blue. And from here, down here, I'm going to start adding lighter blue at the bottom. Lighter blue, not the whole way up. See where we stopped? Where I highlighted the lantern, the side of the lantern, and I kept this part down, up dark. The same thing is going to be with the glass. The glass is going to be lighter at the bottom and darker on top.
Ooh,
Let's fix this because I went over the lines a bit when I was putting the blue. And again, a little bit of white. On the glass part. And that's it. We're good. Okay, this is how it looks with the lantern done. Next week, we'll work on the handle and handle of the door and the rest of the bottom part.